Wow. The Moto Academy podcast episode, God only knows, Dave Drakes,
I have
because
no idea.
I don't either. So in this episode, we're going to talk about Supercross for 15 seconds. We're going
Yep.
to talk about our own riding because we did ride once more again. Both of us. Look at
What?
us go, dude.
Who would have thought, man? We are just fine. We're
Man,
just we're killing it,
we are dirt bike riders.
or at least we're doing a great representation of some. So,
We are just dirt bike riders. We have podcast questions that we're going to answer.
yep.
We're going to talk a little bit about, or I need to at least plug, Winchester Supercross round one coming this weekend. I think this comes out on Wednesday, this episode, and the
Mhm.
first race is May 3rd this weekend. So I'll just plug it right now. And that's it. Where did you go riding?
So I went to a track close to Coda again. There's a couple of tracks around that area. The F1 track called Murphy's, and it's kind of a cool track.
This
So
is a different one now, or
this is a different one. So I've
man?
I've ridden here quite a bit. If I go riding, it's mainly going to be Murphy's. But since you and I have been kind of doing this, I've been at another track. But it's almost like a GP track in the way that it's only really tabletops, and they have a triple
Mhm.
there that's very doable, very achievable. I'd say heck, maybe even a fast Cobra 50 rider could, if you're carrying speed, could hit it. Um, just good bowl corners, nice and hard pack. I like my hard pack tracks, so it's a nice, easier way back in kind of track, and it was fun. It's good to get the bike dialed in. Dude, I'm such an idiot. I changed my bars. I went with the Moto Academy. I told you the Moto Academy bar pad, the bend,
Yep.
everything. Love the bars. Did a video for everybody in the app, so they're gonna see a cool
Cool.
breakdown and everything. Your buddy forgot to torque the bolts down. So, and thank goodness it's the smallest double in the world. And I just decided, like, oh, it's so small. I overshoot it going into the corner, overshot it, landed. The bars went doop. I was like, all right, well now I'm Ricky Carmichael bar set up. So I had to like ride with them in my lap. And everyone's like, what happened?
Yikes.
I was like, oh yeah, I'm an idiot. Forgot to torque
Like,
my
how
bars
loose
down.
were they? I mean,
Not
tight enough to.
well, tight enough to do like a moto, kind of like all
Okay.
out, doing my normal whatever. But it just so happened that whatever I did in that small little double showed like, hey, you forgot. You did them tight, but not torque tight. So had to update that, get that together. But
Man.
yeah, we're back. We're back in action. But it's good. It's good to be back. It's good to
And
have a routine.
you felt better this time?
I did, and that's what I kind of wanted to go over with you. I was gonna call you and be like, guess what I did today? I was like, we'll save it for the podcast. But
We're not allowed to talk other than the podcast.
yeah, well, you don't
That's
talk
the
about
rule.
the podcast. But the first moto, I was having a bear of a time, man. I was like, why am I'm like missing lines. I just feel really uncomfortable. I feel like the world's just coming at me so quickly and I don't have time to react. And then I realized it's like, Dave, you're looking at your front fender. And I like picked my eyes up, and that was just a world of difference, which usually my three pillars, eyes, elbows, feet. If I can remember those
Mhm.
things, I'm usually in the right position, right? Everything else kind of second nature. But eyes, elbows, feet. And number one on my list, I was just forgetting lap after lap. Once I adjusted that, I felt like my bike just was handling smoother because I was inadvertently just hitting the smoother line because I was looking ahead enough to decide what line I wanted to hit without even thinking about it. It's like, oh, I was prepared for the jumps with my body positioning because I was actually looking at the jumps and not my freaking stickers. Uh, Everything just fell into place for me, and that's kind of one of the questions that I had on my list for today is we talk about the fundamental pillars. We talk about the proper riding positioning, TMA position, how to really have that effective control over your bike, and we see it every day from socials. We preach it, but I wanted to understand from you, how would you rank those fundamental pillars in order of importance from 1 to 5 or 7 or 3 or whatever the number is, just to see like what's the most important one for people to hone in on.
I don't think it's talked about enough, even by myself included. So
Yeah.
I did, though, talk about it a ton at class at Airway Heights,
Hmm.
which is where I just flew back from Spokane, Washington. Places, dude, Dave, you would go nuts for this. I'm trying to book a week long there
Hmm.
because as I was pulling in, I've been there 3 or 4 times now, at least. And I was just, it's right next to the airport. It's
Hmm.
connected basically to a huge casino with a bunch of good restaurants and
Hmm.
It's in like an area that doesn't seem like it would be possible for a dirt bike track. And I'm pulling in, and the week-long camps have been on my radar, so I kind of have eyes for that, thinking about, can this be possible as I'm driving in.
Mhm.
The property is huge. There's tracks everywhere as you're pulling in. But the main track is so flowy. The dirt is awesome, and there's just massive jumps littered all over it.
Mm.
So I guess I'll get to me riding in a second. But
Mhm.
this was a group that we were working a tight right-hand rut, and the rut was perfect,
Mhm.
but it was technical. It was tight, and everybody was riding up and out of it. That's everybody's issue. Is they some guys fall in. I think the faster guys' issue is that they fall inside of the rut,
Yep.
and then the slower riders' issue is they wish they could fall inside of the rut. They ride
Yeah.
up and out of the rut.
Yeah.
I've never really thought of it in that way, but that's what it is. If you're a fast dude, you're probably falling inside of the rut because you're leaning too much
Mhm.
and or leaning before your throttle
Throttle.
comes on.
Mhm.
But everybody else is basically looking straight down, and they can't track through the rut. They just keep they keep going straight.
Yeah.
So I had a long conversation, a lot of different conversations about where you should be looking,
Mhm.
and even experiment with your vision a little bit, which when I was done with class, I hopped on a factory edition Honda 450, which I've ridden the same exact bike there
Mhm.
multiple years now, which is awesome. So shout out for letting me ride that bike. I absolutely love it. And I did a moto. Now, when I say moto, the reason I air quote it is because I probably made it 4 laps. I was proud, actually. Probably
Okay.
4 laps. And in that 4 laps, I only thought about where I was looking. And I was experimenting too, because there was a couple of weird off camber corners, like
Mhm.
ruts. They're over a hill, some kind of weird ones. And I
Mm.
was trying to see, okay, if I looked inside of the rut, like not in the rut, what
Mhm.
happens if I just look to the far inside of it?
Mhm.
Will it work for this specific corner? And it felt nice. I was actually able to breathe a little bit better, I think, because I just naturally, with my conscious awareness just being on my vision,
Mhm.
I think that I was just looking further out. And when
Mm.
riders forget this, but the faster you try and go, very likely the quicker or the more your vision is coming in, and the easier it is for you to ride over your eyes. And I love that Ryan Sipes worked with me last year when I was at Jet and Hunter's place,
Mhm.
and that was the first thing he caught me doing, because we were working on speed that day.
Mhm.
And he pulls me over and he goes, AJ, you're riding over your eyes. I go, what does that mean? He's like, as soon as you started trying to go fast, your eyes were looking at the old spot that you used to look at when you were going slow,
Oh, okay.
and you weren't adjusting your eyes accordingly. Does that make
Mm.
sense?
Yeah, like your reference point for different speeds needs to change
Be
as you
different spots.
as you increase mile per hour, you need to look a little bit higher in the horizon because things
Yeah,
are
because when
coming.
you ride laps, think about it
Yeah.
this way. I haven't had enough good conversation like this about vision and riding,
Mhm.
but think about when you're doing laps. If you were out there for 5 laps, 10 laps on a track, long
Mhm.
enough to have the track completely memorized and the lines completely memorized, essentially what you're doing on a lap to lap basis is you are spotting out your landmarks, your reference marks, right?
Mm.
Whether it be
Yep.
that rock or that bump or that rut, you're looking at it. At least I do. And maybe Dave, tell me what you do.
Mhm.
That's how I know where I'm going. That's how I know where to sit. That's how I know where to shift, is by
Yeah.
referencing those points. And
Yep.
if you are going to try to go 1 second a lap faster or 5 seconds a lap faster, those can't be your reference points anymore. They have to be different ones.
Yeah. I tend to
That's a good
do
way of thinking of it.
markers outside of the track. Like,
Mm,
okay,
me too.
I'm past the whatever tree. Now I can start to, or get
Mm,
ready for this section where it's a back, left, back, all that other stuff. So I tend to do that. But if I have a moment on the track to take a breather, that could be a marker too, like a floater or something. You're just let the arms go loose or something. But yeah, for the most part, it's the eyes for me, man. I once I did that, it was just and I forget, because it's been a while since I've had to come back from an injury where I was just sitting on the couch not doing anything. So you forget like your routine, what you're supposed to do. Eye speed becomes slower, and you talked about that
way
before.
slower.
Oh my gosh, and I'm thinking like And I hate this, but I was like, should I bring Maeve's little like play balls and like do the freaking pre-Supercross workout? I'm like, I hate it, but if it helps,
I hate it.
my least favorite thing to do before a Supercross race. But
The reason why I actually had to pull off, it was a combo move got me. It was a cross contamination of arm pump
mm,
and blurred vision because
mm,
my eyes were struggling so bad to keep up by the end of me focusing on where I was looking the whole time.
yeah.
And I don't think I ate enough that day, but my vision just got so blurry. I'd be hitting the acceleration bumps and I was like, man, I can't see.
Oh, so I'm glad you mentioned that because I've been asking my buddies I ride with. I'm like, hey, this one straightaway, which I never used to think about. I'm like, are you guys just getting like tons of like eye chatter? And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, dude, literally, I'm going blurry like as I'm going
Yeah,
through these like these
exactly.
acceleration, and they're
Do I need
tiny.
glasses?
That's what I was wondering. I'm like, should I ride with my glasses or should I ride with my contacts in? But yeah, what are and I know I'm not the only person. I know we've had a couple of guys that reached out to me in the app that were like, hey, I'm on the same journey as you, coming back from this or that. A lot of lower body injuries I'm noticing a lot lately. Um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
what are some things that we can implement to be able to get either our eye speed back quicker or to kind of get over that little blurriness, that fuzziness in our eyes when we get back to riding, get used to all the jostling and jumping and looking ahead and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, the blurriness in the eyes, I don't even know the source of that issue. I don't know why it happened that day. I've had it happen randomly on certain occasions. I
Hmm.
definitely at classes I don't eat, so I have breakfast in the morning at probably 8 a.m.
Hmm.
and then I don't eat the entire rest of the day at class until I get dinner at maybe 5 p.m. So I use those days for fasting, and I didn't know if okay maybe I don't have enough nutrition, like I don't have enough calories or what's going on.
Mm.
But my solution is that as soon as my eyes were doing this jumble, it was two corners on the track. It wasn't like
Hmm.
it was every corner. It was just two that were hard packed ruts that had the stutter coming
Chatter.
out.
Yep.
And so I just started standing through the corners was my
Mm.
solution because the standing fixed it because the weight then went entirely into my feet
Yeah.
and I could really use my heel drop and ankle flexion to absorb as opposed to when I was sitting, I'm pretty good about weighting outside foot, but naturally there was definitely some weight still in my butt, obviously,
Hmm.
to cause that jumble mode. So
Yeah.
yeah, just those two corners, I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna go a little slower maybe and just stand all the way through. I
Mm.
was able to hop in the moto behind somebody. I think their last name was Spangle. Have you ever heard that? Not Spangler.
Okay.
I think I think it was Spangle, I think, or who
Yeah.
knows. If you live in Washington, maybe you know who I'm talking about.
Hmm.
Apparently, it was the younger brother, and the older brother's really fast too.
Mm.
He was killing it. He was riding with both feet on a ton. He
Hmm.
wasn't riding over his limit, but what I did is I rode a few laps, got kind of tired, so I slowed down, and then he passed me. I'm like, oh, this guy's going fast. So I just kind of hopped in, probably 4 to 5 seconds behind him, and then
Hmm.
caught up to maybe like 3 seconds behind him, just enough to where if he
Watch
ever
them.
messed up, he wasn't collecting me, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But I was able to watch him the entire time,
Hmm.
and it was fun to do that too. Like all
Yeah.
of these little things that you forget about when you haven't ridden in a while.
Mm.
That was my first experience since I've ridden a couple of times that I have now to go out there with somebody
Hmm.
and to pace for a few laps. Also being on a 450, it did make me think that I want a 450 again.
That's another thing I wanted to talk to you about was what made you want to go 250, because I know how much you've liked the Honda 450 in the past,
Uh,
and just
uh,
see, I know we did what Supercross 23 or 22 with the 250 class, but um I wanted to pick your brain on what
I think
made
it
you
was
go
a
250
mistake.
and what's making you want to go back to a 450.
Yeah, I think it was a mistake. So what made me get that bike, I was trying to be strategic and I thought, okay, this will be the main bike that I ride for TMA Supercross,
Hmm.
right? So let's make it be a 250 because when I come back and race Supercross, I want to race a 250 in Supercross. That I'm basically all but certain.
Hmm.
And but what I realized real quick, and I think I talked about it on here, I forgot how slow a stock Honda 250 is.
Mm.
Now, it's not that my race bike was super trick,
Hmm.
but it had enough. Let me try to think of what it had. It for sure had an exhaust.
Yep.
It must have had an intake, I'm sure. It probably had a custom tuned ECU, and then it had a port and polish, whatever.
Yeah. I don't even think your
and
tune
maybe a
was
high
super
compression.
custom. I don't think it was anything that was
I don't think
like
it was.
AJ likes a little bit more here. I think it was just like
No,
a
definitely wasn't that.
broad. Yeah, it was a broad tune.
It was. It was probably one that's definitely like a preset. You could go buy it type
Yeah.
of thing.
Yep.
But just to kind of make like the exhaust intake and whatever work together a little bit
Mm-hmm.
better.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's all it was.
Yeah.
But that's a big difference between a stock
Yes, it
250.
is.
Holy cow, it feels so slow
Yep.
when it's got nothing done to it. I hate to say this because for most people, a lot of people, this wouldn't be the case.
Mm-hmm.
Almost unrideably slow because it just takes the fun out of it. When I got back on the 450,
Mm-hmm.
man, it's a blast. Where the 450 though becomes not a blast is when you're trying to race it or ride it harder than what you should be.
Yeah.
And it's a fine line on that 450 when you get just a little bit tired or just a little bit going too fast.
Man, and if you're not aware of where your cutoff is or where you're like, hey, I need to be more mindful now that either I'm tired or the track's, getting a bit too beat up. If you're not aware of when that happens, the 450 can sneak up on you very, very easily. It's one of those bikes where you have to always continuously check in with yourself, even when you're feeling good. Like, okay, well, we got a limit. Be mindful. Think about this. Where are the tough points on the track? Where am I starting to have a struggle? Because there's times when I've been tired and your elbow just drops a little bit, which is a problem I have, and that throttle cracks open just a hair. It's difficult. It's tough to get that bike back underneath you. So.
Yeah, or even forget about a crash that would happen when you're getting at that limit, but it just becomes unfun.
Yeah.
And I think that I experienced so many years there when I was business building and really not just coming into these races unprepared, right? Like the 19, 20, 21, those years, 18. I mean, there was a lot of them. I think I just got sick of riding a 450 feeling that way. Where it was always it was beyond the uncomfortable and it was just beating me up the whole time.
Yeah.
I wasn't in shape
that.
Yeah. So, but now I think I'm going to buy a 450. And you know what? You know what, Dave?
Oh, don't say it.
I would buy a Yamaha 450.
I knew you were going to say YZ. I knew it.
I would buy a Yamaha 450.
You know what I think solidified it for you? Is seeing how much fun Aiden has on his YZ450. I guarantee you that played a piece into it, because that kid throws that bike around and has a absolute blast. And I bet seeing him at Winchester SX did it.
And I've ridden a few kind of like built YZ250s. And man, that sounds so good underneath you. The chassis is perfect. It's super narrow. So with the wing seat, it's perfect. And it's plush. I could get that bike and not have to do the suspension.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm tempted. Maybe I'll buy both. Is it weird if I just kind of brand bouncing a little bit, or is that?
I mean, now is the time. I think more so than ever now, because so many people are flooding to the app. So many people are either trying to elevate themselves by being in the app, or they're looking for a change, or they're trying to complement all the changes that are going through with their training, riding properly, mindset change. A lot of people are asking like, hey, what's the next bump up? What's the next move for me? So, I mean, there's so many people that are saying, hey, I'm going to do a review of these cool boots to show people. I'm going to do a review of this. And bikes, why not? If we have the opportunity, showcase some cool stuff. I talked to I called Tony the other day, because he was like, hey, what's going on with you and AJ, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, hey, I haven't heard Suzuki in a while. You should buy a Suzuki and leave it at my house. I was like, all right, Tony, I'll try a Suzuki. Maybe you'll buy one.
Man, every time I hear the word Suzuki, I think of Driver Jamie.
They're nice.
Oh, wait. Speaking of which, this just happened this week. We now have a small rental fleet for Moto Academy Summer Camp at the Winchester location. So,
nice.
Pretty sure we've got a Suzuki RMZ 250. We have a Husky TC 125. We have a KLX 110. We have a Yamaha 125. We have another 450 that I can't remember. We have a Honda 250, CRF 250R. We have like 6 or 7 different rental fleets. So I know a lot of people were emailing asking, hey, can I fly in? There were some people asking from either Europe or Australia too. Hey, can I fly in? What does this look like? So call us, I guess. What do you do? How do you send
Email.
us a letter, certified letter in the mail? We'll get back to you. Email, just send an email to info@themotoacademy.com because I don't think it's on the website yet. It's top secret. Probably shouldn't be saying it. Oh, well. Send us an email, info@themotoacademy.com, and get your rental and lock in your summer camp spot. I think there's only 10 spots left for actually, honestly, I think there's only 10 spots for the Salt Lake and both Winchesters. So all of them.
Already?
So do not wait.
For Salt Lake?
Yeah, I want to say
wow.
we're capping right at like 65 to 70 people, and they're all at like they're all right at 52 to 56.
How good does
already.
that feel for you to be able to have that type of engagement and that type of I don't want to say it's acceptance.
It's not always that way.
Isn't the right word, but the summer camps, the way that they've just taken off,
yeah.
like that has to feel incredible for you and the team.
Yeah. Yeah, because man, running a business is it teaches you every lesson that you would ever need to learn. But there's one thing I've caught myself doing in the past, and that is thinking that the next thing, the next big thing, thinking that one thing would change the trajectory of the Moto Academy altogether, and that I was in control of that. Like, oh, once this happens, this will solve all of our problems. Oh, as soon as we do this thing on this date, problem solved. Like, we're going to that next level. And it never ends up being the case. It's just been a slow burn. I mean, there's been a couple unexpected, I guess, jumps that have been maybe from the outside in obvious of just leaps of our evolution. But the summer camp would be one, I guess, that it was an idea that I didn't think it would be as big because I didn't think about, I hadn't stewed on the concept enough, I guess. Yeah. It's also easy as a business owner to get locked into just your way of doing things because you do it that way. Yeah. So that's like the tour, right? The tour was a single day class, and I didn't think, hey, could it be 2 days? Could it be 5 days? I just never even had that thought. As obvious as that, as silly as that seems. But they are so well received, and I know why. It's because it's unbelievable to get 5 days straight with somebody.
Yeah.
It is so much fun. It actually made me think of all of these people that Wim Hof retreats and like the Joe Dispenza retreats, all these people where I want to go do these retreats. They're all 4 days, 7 days, right in that window. And the reason is that you can change. You can actually biologically change in that amount of time. You can create new habits. You can become a different person leaving that week. And it's rewarding for me. It's rewarding for the people that go.
Yeah.
It's freaking awesome.
There's one retreat that you did not mention that I have been saying for easily the last 5 years. And it offends me that you didn't mention it right now. And it just shows me that you don't listen to me.
Oh my God. No, I know, because I know, and it's something that I've wanted to do. Don't tell me. Oh, wait, give me a hint. Wait, does it have to do with ayahuasca?
No, what?
Oh.
Wait, is there heroin? No, dude. No. What?
Are you sure? No, that's Rob. Rob Fowler.
I'm very sure, dude. You sure there's no black tar heroin in this one? Dude,
no. Rob Fowler wants to go do ayahuasca somewhere, which sounds interesting.
Oh gosh.
Don't tell me. I'm close. Clearly, I'm getting close. Let's see. You're gonna love me because I remembered it. Ben Townley, New Zealand trip.
Townley, New Zealand, and we've been getting invited by different. Remember, we had different people that did the TCE programs over the years that are like, hey, you and AJ come down. Well, we'll set it up. We'll have fun. We'll do the Ben Townley deal, and year after year, we're like, next year. But dude, I would love to be able to do that one. That would be so much fun.
Okay, I don't want to get any hopes up, but I think that 2026 will be the year because it's looking like if Allie doesn't get pregnant in or before 2026, then we want to do an extended honestly, we might have a home base in Europe, which would make going to Australia a heck of a lot easier. And we'd be willing to go stay somewhere for 3 or 4 weeks on a bigger trip like that. So let's talk about it. I don't know now that Maeve is Maeve willing to travel to Australia? What is she thinking?
I think Mary would be down. She'd have to do a lot of prep with Allie. I think if Allie was helping her get everything together, she'd be cool because we're getting the passport stuff now. She's getting her citizenship updated for England. I'm getting mine for the islands and all that other stuff. So now that we're
Cool.
getting things going and situated, I think she'll be a little bit more open minded to
Dude,
it.
it's just a huge trip. That's the only reason we haven't gone back.
Yeah, that's
it's just a
yeah,
massive trip. There
it
was
really
how
is.
cool is this? So there was a couple, the husband or boyfriend, I forget his first name, and they were awesome. They were from Perth.
Mhm,
They flew into LA, I'm pretty
mhm.
sure is where they started, and they're doing a 3-week trip. Just them two. They're probably 20, I think they said they were 25 and 28 years old. He rented a bike for this day to show up to a Moto Academy class
Mhm.
at Airway Heights in Washington. So like how cool to loop that into his trip and that I
Yeah.
was on the radar. He said that their roommate has a Cat and Zero jersey hanging in the
Really?
house or in the garage or something. And I'm like, no way. So it must have been from when I was over there racing Manjimup in,
Oh,
2014,
was it
whenever that was.
the 100 or 300?
Yeah,
Manji
man. No, it's
Manji
like
3?
1,000 or 1,500 or something
1500. Yeah, yeah,
crazy.
yeah, yeah.
10,000? I don't know.
Yeah. I was talking
But
to Dylan Wood
sick
about that. I was
race.
like, the only track that I really can identify by like the corners, I'm like, is like Manji. He's like, oh, dude, everybody. There's no track like
Yeah.
that around.
We need to go do that together because it's just a fun event for everybody. It's
Do,
epic.
do we have to do that one?
Epic. You would like it. You would like that track, I bet. It has
Yeah.
one gnarly kind of sand section that's 2 or 3 corners long, but other
Mhm.
than that, it's like hard pack. It feels like
Oh, okay.
doesn't feel much different than what we're used to. So they were on
Gotcha.
this huge trip. They went to Moto Academy for the day, renting the bike. Then they were
Mhm.
flying from there to Palm Springs to go to Stagecoach Music Festival for 3 days.
Oh,
Then they were
dude,
going
they're
from
having a
there to Salt Lake
trip.
City to watch the last Supercross at Salt Lake City. Then they were going from there to Nashville. They were going to go to Nashville for a few days, and I was like, "Oh, you guys will love that." Then they're going from
Yep.
there back to LA. Like Australian people know how to do a proper
Yeah.
3-week vacation. I go, "How much money?" I go, "How much money are you spending? Is this a fortune?" And they go, "Yeah, honestly, we've probably spent $25,000 already."
Which makes sense. That
Yeah.
you could ease. I mean, how much did we spend when we did the last trip together in like a day?
I don't know. I
I'm
feel like I want to say for the Bahamas.
Yeah, because that was
I
only
want to
2 or
say
3
most of our
days.
and most of our trips, even at 2 or 3 days, still probably cost Allie and I want to say in between like 6 to 10,000, but
Yeah,
it adds up quick.
because like Jeremiah and me, we were like, oh, once he had to talk with me, it's like just have fun. And I was like, okay. I went back. Pretty sure it was like 5 grand, 6 grand for just me for like 3
3
days.
nights.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
but I
vacations
mean,
add up quick, especially when you're doing it like that. But it's
yeah,
just like Jeremiah's advice and it's their advice. I'm sure that they weren't made of money. They were only
yeah.
25 and 28 years old, but
Mhm.
there's something about the Australians just aren't afraid to enjoy life and have some fun. And like this was
Yeah.
the trip of a lifetime type of deal, right?
Oh,
So
for sure.
that was pretty epic.
Yeah.
Um,
That'd be great though. I mean, that is an
yeah, we need to go.
experience to be able to ride and see these great cities and stagecoach like that. That's awesome. just to do that, that's phenomenal. They're gonna have such a blast, man.
Yeah, she was
That's
probably. They
so
were probably
great.
like, "Why is he asking me so many questions about our trip?" But I was just getting into it. I'm like, "No way,
Yeah.
you're going here and you're going. Oh, Yosemite. They're going to Yosemite for a few days.
Mm,
Uh, they're just piecing together this epic U.S. trip,
yeah.
and
Love,
I'm jealous of it. I'm going to be
love
honest.
that.
So send me a message because I forget your guys' names. I wish I had invited you to dinner. Didn't think of that until it was too late. Dave Drake Supercross. Did you watch? Were you there? Where was it?
I was not
Philadelphia?
Pittsburgh. There. Pittsburgh was not
Pittsburgh.
there. Yeah, it's I'm so grateful, just like you, so grateful to be able to go every weekend. These last couple of weekends where I've been able to just ride and stay home, phenomenal. When the
Mm.
best way to watch a race is when you can be like, oh, that was a great race, click, and then turn over and go
Oh,
to sleep.
no.
So I feel like, well, that race was great. Now we got to walk in the rain and 30 degrees, to half a mile.
Push a car out of the snow.
Push the car out of the
Big James
snow
Stewart.
with Stu, and then don't forget we got to unload and pack up the rig, and then we got to try to wait for an Uber for an hour, and then where are we sleeping tonight? Well, okay, 3 of us in a bed together, great. And
And if we're lucky, get to bed by 3:30 in the morning by the end of all that.
But then Wednesday's flight, 3:45. So
before we get back to this podcast, this is sponsored by LMNT, the best electrolyte drink I've ever had personally. I've been drinking it for 2 or 3 years now. I love every single flavor except for, well, honestly, the mango chili, it's spicy, but if you're into that type of thing, it's worth a whirl. Hydrate. I never knew how to hydrate the right way until about 3 years ago. I was a professional athlete for 10 of those 13 years, and I would just drink regular water. I would always have cramps, and I could never figure out why. Finally, I realized that, it was an electrolyte deficiency, specifically sodium for me. And LMNT has changed that completely. I never cramp anymore. I don't get those annoying headaches. Go to drinklmnt.com/AJCat330. You can try, I think, 8 flavors for free with that order. They're a huge supporter of this podcast. So, and it's great stuff. I have some in here. Lemonade, actually, new flavor. I don't know if it's out yet, but go give it a whirl. drinklmnt.com/AJCat330. Yeah. You guys want to be a professional Supercross racer? Are you sure? Are you sure? Because
it's a lot of
last night, literally me, I had a pillow barricade up. I'm watching the race on my phone and just fast forwarding through absolutely everything. Yeah. And then it gets done and put it on the nightstand and to sleep. Man, does that feel nice?
It's amazing. If you start in the industry or you become a racer yourself, you're gonna have to share a bed with a lot of dudes, and it's just it's one of the worst.
Dave just made it onto SMX Cum page.
SMX, yeah, dude. You want to be pro racer? A lot of dudes in your bed. Oh, it's so good,
man. So Supercross Pittsburgh, we'll talk about it for a minute and 25 seconds. I just want to give a couple of shout outs. Shout out to Nate Thrasher for skimming the whoop-de-doos.
Yep.
For skimming the whoops and looking good while doing it. Tracking straight every single time. Dude, I tell Dave, I keep meaning to call you Dave, and I'm calling you dude. So, whoopsie daisy. Dude, Dave.
Just forgetting my name after 30-something years. It's cool.
I'm just saying dude because I can't think of what your actual name is. Don't worry about it. Anyhow, dude, Dave. There's going to be a big opportunity, I think, in the 250 class. I was thinking this last night. Mm-hmm. Barely any of those guys, if they keep keeping these whoops to the 9 whoop rule, and everybody keeps just learning how and putting focus into jumping, we're going to have less and less and less newcomers, 250 people that know how to skim whoops.
Yes.
And then, God forbid, they add 1 or 2 more back in. Forget about it.
It'd be a problem.
And last night, you could tell they were a little bit further apart. They looked fairly big. And almost nobody could really get through them other than jumping. And it's like, even in a set like that, unless you're Justin Cooper in the heat race going 2-3-4 as quick as he was in that heat. And even then, that 2-3-4, as crazy fast as that was, if you're good at skimming them, it's going to be faster to skim them. And so I just love seeing guys stick to it. Like Nate Thrasher was killing it.
Yeah. And what's crazy to me is the emphasis that they're putting on the whoops the last couple of weeks. And even just say all of 25 so far. I don't remember them doing that in like, the early 2000s, even to the mid 2010s and stuff like that, where, yeah, they would say, oh, we've got bigger whoops tonight. Look at how big they are. But it was never like oh my gosh, this is, the treacherous whoop section and who's going to skim versus who's going to jump. It was just like, oh yeah, Reed and Stewart are going really, really fast through them. Look at how fast they're going. Not, oh my gosh, there's whoops. What are people going to do? And they were
Yeah.
different every weekend. There's some that were super tall. There were some that were
Yeah.
tall and spaced far apart. There were some that were spaced close together, and then it became like, okay, well, is the whoop section gonna throw you off for the obstacle that's coming after it because you're going so fast? So I don't know
Dude,
where the change up came.
even in my era, not even that early in my era, because I remember it being 450 class, but I would
Hmm.
say from 2011 to 2018, maybe 2019, maybe, before everybody got soft during COVID.
Mm.
But there were some crazy sets. There
Yes.
was some where I remember like nobody skimmed them, period, really, except for maybe like Brayton tried to get through them one time or something
Yeah.
like that. And then they would just have to redo them and make them more rideable.
Yeah.
I
Oddly,
remember in main
a lot of
events in the
those came
250
from
class.
Anaheim.
Yes, that one
Yeah.
that I'm thinking of
Yeah.
specifically was at Anaheim.
Yep.
Yep, I remember some at Dallas Supercross one year when I was on 250s, probably 2012. Me and like Baggett, I remember in the main event up there ish, just going double, double, double. Not
Mm.
because jumping a whoops was a thing then, but it was
Mhm.
because you couldn't. They got so big and gnarly that you couldn't skim them.
Mm.
So I think that's part of the reason now I just have confidence and I can skim anything
Yeah.
essentially. But I watch the races and it just drives me up a wall sometimes watching the 450 main event.
Yes.
Why did Sexton stop? I mean, it's easy to say when you're watching on TV, but Sexton lost that race only because he was trying to jump through the whoops.
Yeah.
Keep skimming, skim the whoops. Especially don't try
Man.
and Webb is amazing at jumping through them. So if
Yeah.
you guys are close the entire rest of the track,
Mhm.
you just can't try to go head to head versus Webb in jumping the whoops, unless you're like Justin Cooper, who might even be better than Webb at jumping the whoops.
Yeah.
But the whole race, I'm like, Chase, skim him. And not only was he jumping him, but Chase kept trying different lines in the jump
Oh,
line.
thank
And he
you.
would just keep
Thank you.
messing it up. He couldn't get in that pocket to go single and off the
Yes.
setup whoop and go 3 in.
Yep.
He was just botching him every lap, and then he catch right back up.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was frustrating me. It's so
It
easy
was
to say when you're
so
watching it on
frustrating.
TV.
Yeah, yeah. And we, all the respect to these racers because they're all flying, obviously. But me and Ray were doing the watch party in the app, and I wish AJ, you should have seen our faces because every lap we were like, okay, cool, like Sexton skimming up until a certain point whenever we started jumping in, and we're like, why is he changing his line now? Like, why would you alter halfway through the main event when you're clearly you're a skimmer? You don't have much experience jumping through. You know what I mean? And just to see that he kept going back to it over and over. His approach was not right. Webb's entry, so much of a better line. It really dialed in. To see Chase try it over and over and just see all the work that he did the lap prior just go out the window. Oh man, I was feeling frustrated for him. So I can only imagine what he was going through underneath that helmet. Of like, dang it, dude, I'm trying to catch this guy. I'm trying his lines, and I'm still not making a pass. But
I
um,
was impressed that it was even able to still be that close after all that, because usually
yeah,
when you have one section on the track that you just cannot make up your mind on what to do. I'm
yeah.
all about exploring sometimes, right?
Hmm.
It's better to explore than it is to stay in a line that you know sucks and just ride it lap after lap. But doing what I was watching Chase do,
Hmm.
which was just fumbling with the section every single lap because he just couldn't really make up his mind on what to do. It would almost look like as he got to the setup whoop, he was deciding right then and there like what to do,
Mm.
which is really odd. I mean, it must just go to show how gnarly the whoops were to skim, but then it flashed to like I saw Ferrandis just getting across the tops of them, no problem. So
Mm.
you just got to stick to the commitment. Chase's bike looks really good and planted when he skims the whoops. I don't see anything wrong with his bike to skim them. And if Thrasher could be skimming them 10 minutes earlier in the
Yep.
250 main, of usually the hardest part is getting up high enough on that first one to miss all the ruts
And stay on
where
top. Yeah.
people are getting the jump, and on the 450 that's even easier.
Mhm.
Another technique that you can use, I don't know if it would have been plausible in this whoop setup or not, but this was something I was really proud of because I showed Jet and Hunter this one day at their track,
Mhm.
and they had never thought of this or seen anybody do it before. So I can claim that I taught them how to do it, although they figured it out immediately, right? I just
Oh.
had to like show them that it was possible. The since everybody jumps now, this wasn't a thing earlier in my career because nobody jumped. But since everybody jumps now, the first real whoop, so you have the setup whoop and then the first real whoop is crazy, crazy rutted. But what you can do is you can jump and skip the first real whoop entirely and land in a skim on the third whoop. But the key is you can't like really jump because you would waste time and you'd be coming down at it from the wrong angle. So you have to just almost aim for the top of the second one, but just barely miss it. And then you can land into a skim. I've seen Jet do it on the 450 a few times since. It's especially good on the 450 because you have that power to pull you once you hit and impact the third one, but you miss the big rutted one. So it's kind of like a little secret technique, I guess, pretty high risk, and you got to have darn good timing, and you have to know how to use the clutch in the whoops too, because you can't jump and land in a skim without the clutch. You need to modulate the clutch when you land the jump into the skim to make sure that you have the appropriate power to then get you to the next one.
Complicated.
But I don't know. I watched it on TV and it's hard for me because I still don't know. I try to be objective about the way that I think about it, but it's like I am subjective in the sense that I'm watching it on a phone. I'm laying in my bed. You know, so it is very easy to say, oh, well, why didn't you just skim the whoops?
Yep.
But it was frustrating as a fan to watch it.
So
and now he's what, 12 points back?
12 points back, 2 to go. So that was what I was going to get to next is, we got Denver and then Salt Lake. Seeing what you've seen in speed from Sexton, seeing what you've seen in the tenacity and just that never say die attitude from Webb, where we got a 12-point split, 2 to go. Where are your thoughts on who's going to take this championship now? Because it's getting down to the wire and we're seeing two very different approaches, and who knows, right? Anything can happen. What are your thoughts?
I mean, last episode I said Sexton, you said Webb, right? I think I'm still going to say Sexton. And because I want to say that watching it last night, I really believe that was in a lot of ways that was a Webb track. Minus the whoops. If you take the whoops out of the out of it, then the option lane, because it was kind of like an awkward left right, like Webb's great at that stuff. Supercross triple into the tight little annoying berm into a tight corner before the finish. Even the tight kind of off camber corner, which that was Sexton's strong suit, the entire main, as opposed to Webb was kind of botching that corner. But typically I would look at that and think that was a Webb track. So it's hard. It's very difficult to say, oh, this guy is way better than this guy. Usually depends which track you're going to. So what do we got? You said Denver and Salt Lake?
Denver and Salt Lake.
I mean, outdoor stadiums, you would think that would lend itself to Sexton even more. But I don't know. Are you still saying Webb?
I'm still saying Webb. Just obviously we love Sexton and the way that he rides. His technique is sometimes almost flawless until he makes some mistakes. You use him a lot when you're referencing technique for foot position and keeping your eyes up, head up, stuff like that. Fast guy, but with the points deficit that he's at right now and the way that Webb just seems to be able to just dig it out in the last 3-4 rounds or less, I can't see Webb not being so mentally strong and so bulldogish through this whole thing that he doesn't even have to win. All he has to do is get second, and Webb can win it in any given weekend. He can definitely grab a second, right? Barring no issues. Now, people can go down the first corner and have a heck of a time getting back up. We've seen it from multiple different points leaders over the years, going back to when our dads were watching Supercross, right? But I just don't see Webb relinquishing the momentum that he has, and he's just too mentally strong, too much tenacity to let that go. And I think this is going to be his championship from this moment out. Love Chase, but I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, I mean, hard to argue that. Definitely hard to argue that. Anything else good or exciting that happened?
Vial.
Cade made the main event.
Yeah, Cade made the main event. He's for somebody that's coming off an injury, riding really good. making us
Yeah.
look stupid with like, oh well, we were, off the couch and we're coming back. This Cade had like 2 months from like a really bad injury, and he's already kicking butt. So shout out to Cade.
And he was kind of finding his way on the TV a lot, like on the starting line, getting lined up next to Sexton, I think, in the main.
Yep.
So I know it's like it was zoomed out just far enough away to where I think if you knew, you knew that it was a Moto Academy helmet. For sure, if you knew, you knew. I was just hoping that other people seeing it would be able to recognize the logo. I'm like, zoom in a little bit, zoom in. Or sometimes it was zoomed in too far just on Sexton, and I could kind of see like the corner of Cade's helmet. I'm like, zoom out a little bit, zoom out.
Just tip the camera guy $20 and have him just do a slow pan.
But that was cool. Straight from the heat too. Pretty impressive.
He's
so
great.
250 Vial knows how to. Just knows how to. I mean, like
he does.
He's not as fast as a few guys in that class.
No, AJ. This might be controversial. I wouldn't even call him top 5 in terms of speed for all the 250.
I beat him in time qualifying, I think, a bunch of times the last year that I raced.
Yeah. Again, nothing controversial, but I'm a fan. I like watching VL ride. I've liked him since he was over in the GPs, but his approach is he's aggressive and he's good when he needs to be. He gets in there where he needs to be. Obviously, I'm sure he'd like to win a lot more, but he's got that Dungey approach where I'm just going to consistently be in the top 3, top 4. I know the guys around me are going to be inconsistent because that's the name of the game in 250s. And he puts himself in really good positions. Love the way that he rides the bike. He looks really good in the bike. That number 1 on the KTM always looks good.
It does.
But it's crazy to me because like not a lot of people say the name, Vial. You never hear a lot of people talk about him. He's putting his name up there two years in a row, man, where he's the red plate holder with only 1 race to go. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Pretty incredible.
Yeah, that's going to be a crazy one to watch. So does that mean that they only have 1 round left and it's a shootout?
It's a shootout. East-West meet up.
Yeah, imagine how stressful that is. And there's 3 dudes that are tied, essentially, right? What is a 1 point difference among the 3?
So I think it's
2 at most, maybe
2 or 3, something like that. But yeah, I mean,
so basically, whoever beats whoever, almost, right?
Almost, because you gotta. I mean, from what we've talked about, I think the West has the speed in Davies, Deegan, maybe Shimoda also. Those guys are hauling, but I don't know. I mean, it's gonna be difficult. Then where does Vial stack up in that? Where does RJ stack up? Because RJ has experience. Is he going to be less flustered by the faster guys, lower lap times? Is Hammaker just going to be an all-out war because he wants to bring the title back to PC? It's a lot of different mentalities and a lot of different approaches, I'm sure, but it's going to be incredible.
Who are you pulling for?
I think
out of those 3,
I think Vial, honestly, for this one. I think he put himself in a really good position to where he does not have to win, but he has to be close enough to those guys, and I think he's shown that he can do that multiple times this year, even into last year. I see inconsistency, obviously, when I think of Hammaker. He's improved so much this year. It's pretty incredible. Got to give the guy his credit. However, I don't see him being as solid as of a bet as a Vial. And RJ, wild card. RJ could be. I'm hoping I can say AJ about that a couple of times. 2026, 27. But RJ could be lights out fast. And all it takes is just 1 elbow drop or something, and he's down in the corner or something. So it's hard. I'm glad he got the title last year, but it's hard to say that I can bet safely on RJ. I can bet that a Yamaha is probably going to be winning between Davies and Deegan. Yeah, that would be cool.
I'm pulling for Hammaker. I think it'd be really cool. He's faced a lot of adversity in a short career so far. I don't think he's been around for that long, right? And it feels like he's gone through quite a bit. And he's a good kid. We had him at class with Moto Academy at Fox Raceway last year, maybe.
Nice.
Which I always forget. And he killed it. He was getting so into it, and he was nervous at the beginning. And a lot of guys are when they come to them because they don't have much experience teaching yet, right? Yeah. So it's funny to see those guys. Like the first class that Jet ever did with me, he goes, man, this is way more scary than a 250 Supercross main event.
Yeah.
Just talking in front of some people. But
Yeah.
yeah, Seth's a good kid, so I think that would be cool. Dave, we're 56 minutes in. Do you want to do podcast questions?
Yeah, let's go. I'm down for
Okay.
that. Good race, but
Try to
excited for next weekend.
try. Yeah. So are you going to any of the last two?
I'm going to Salt Lake. I got a bunch of
Cool.
content to put together. So yeah,
Cool.
if you want to come out, buddy, let me know.
What do you know the date by chance of that one?
May 10th, I think that one is. Or
Because
9th.
I always seem to be right in the area right before or right after. So it's like
Yeah.
I swear my team schedules it around the races, and then I just either knew about it and forgot, or
Mm.
I just, there's so many times where the Friday before a Supercross or an outdoor, I'm somewhere 10 minutes down the road,
Yeah.
and everybody's like, "Oh man, he's sticking around for tomorrow." I'm like, "What's tomorrow?" It's the Supercross, you dummy. What are you talking about? Oh,
Yeah.
well, whoops.
A1, you know? Oh, yeah, that.
Oh, yeah, no, never heard of it. Well,
Oh, speaking of podcast questions, I got a lot of DMs and I got a lot of positive feedback from our take on this current state of women's moto. And a lot of people were saying,
oh
like,
yes,
hey,
me too.
it's
Yeah,
so great to hear that you guys were like really championing the women's, women's racing. I'm like, of course, how could we not, And again, to us, it's a no brainer. Just the people we grew up racing with, the things that we've seen. So it's great to have the positive feedback, and thank you guys for all of the. I can't tell you, I've been in the track how many times now, AJ, this year. I've had at least one or two people come up to me and they're like, "Oh, hey, dude, you're Dave from. I heard you with AJ. Love the pod. It's awesome. You guys are hilarious. It's super cool hearing the
cool.
backstories of things." And yeah, super grateful to everybody being so cool about it. But yeah, a lot of good feedback on that one, and I'm glad because I feel like we're on the right side of this thing right now.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I agree. And yeah, I thought I don't know if Ethan or Cohen put together the post, but
Mm.
they did a great job. I loved
Great
that
job.
post, and it
Yeah,
seemed like it got decent engagement and a good reaction to it, as it should.
yeah.
But we're not just saying it to say it or be popular with a handful of women or whatever. It's
No, yeah,
like you and I said, having daughters now, it's a completely different perspective. It
yeah.
is a just because, and she's too young to know if she'll be good on a dirt bike yet or not. But
Hmm.
that aside, I believe in my daughter's ability that her ability is infinite, right?
Yeah,
And no
yeah,
matter what she decides to put her head towards and what she will do, it's creatively, whatever, the ceiling is infinite.
yeah.
And so now, yeah, so now I look at women in a different way. I look at mothers in a different way. I look at women differently athletically. I just,
Hmm.
it's things are different now, Dave. And yeah, so I think Moto Academy Supercross is a really good opportunity for us to do a push for all the girls,
Yeah.
because I think that the New England community has a bunch of girls, which is really cool. So it will
Yes.
allow us. We've got all the cameras. We've got the camera crew. We've got the trainers. Like, it's a perfect organic match, right?
Yep.
And we'll be able to put them on display. And I just think it's the 4 minute mile. A woman hasn't won a big event, or whatever milestone, right? Made a Supercross main event, finished whatever, top 20, top 15, top 10, top 5, just because it hasn't been done yet.
Yeah.
The bar will continue to get raised and raised and raised to whatever extent that is. Argue me all you want. It hasn't happened yet, so none of us really know.
Yeah.
But this is it. I always say, for the naysayers, give me a valid argument, and pick out a 250. Seth Hammaker, let's use him as an example. Tom Vial. Tom Vial wins this 250 Supercross championship this year. Is there a woman that exists that is stronger than Tom Vial? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Plenty of them.
I think we know.
So,
a couple.
okay, so you can't use physicality then as the argument,
Yeah.
right?
No.
And then, so that's usually the main argument, right? So I just disprove that right then and there. Because if there's a woman that exists that is stronger than Tom Vial, and there's probably lots of them, then it is possible that a woman rider could be fit enough and strong enough to win a Supercross championship at that level. I'm so curious to know, are there other arguments? Is there scientific fact of, do women process things slower because maybe historically, the men were the ones killing things. But before people were hunters and gatherers and like setting up cities and communities,
Mhm.
there were stages of the evolution where people were just surviving and just figuring it out, just kind of nomadic lifestyle, bouncing around, just fending off dinosaurs, whatever they were fighting. The women had to do that too. So you wouldn't think that the women, from an evolutionary standpoint, would be stupid weak.
No,
They have potential to be strong. Yeah, I don't know. It just, yeah. But anyhow, I'm glad that post was well received, and I am all for it.
Yeah, same. Is there a female racer or young lady that you see in amateurs that you're like, man, I got to keep an eye on her because I guarantee you she's going to be a problem or a threat in the future? Is there anybody that like sparks?
No, but I've heard of a few. I've heard that there was a girl just this year that won a Loretta's area or regional or something like that.
I cannot. Right? I reposted that. I can't remember her name, but dude, she was moving in a super mini class, and super mini class is probably one of the top
three, super mini class,
top two. Yeah, super mini class. It was probably one of the most competitive classes there. I'd say any of the B classes and super mini.
At least when we were growing up, super mini was
no
filled
joke
with heavy hitters.
Yeah, exactly. So that's
because
incredible.
you were going as fast as big bikes were. Well, that's impressive. The only reason I don't know her name or this because I need to get on social media more, I guess. But yes, we're entering an era. Girls are only getting faster. They're going to start proving to themselves that they can. The caliber and the ceiling is going to raise and raise and raise. And how high is that ceiling? I believe it's pretty darn high.
And that's going to motivate other girls too to like want to emulate them too, because like even watching
and that's what it is. It's the belief that it's possible in the first place. Right now it hasn't happened yet because I think 99.999% of girls, if you were to ask them, can you or can a girl win a 250 Supercross championship? They might say no. Right? It's only the rare few that have a belief of something. It's hard to believe in something that hasn't happened yet.
Exactly. 100%. And that's going to spark like inspiration for a lot of people. Like I'll watch the Reed's vlog, right? Where Kaya Reed is riding, and Mary will even stop and watch and be like, oh, that's kind of cool that she's like just as fast as, this little guy. And she's like ripping. It's like, like Mary would never watch moto, but she'll watch it when it's JJ or, Kaya Reed. And I got to imagine that's even greater for little girls that share that same passion. And I watched somebody like Racing Kyler, who races the 65 class in the girls class. AJ, I'll send you a video. This girl freaking rips. And I'm like, man, if I can just get Maeve to sit still for 2 seconds to watch this little girl rip on a 65, like if she didn't have long hair, you would have think she's like just another fast little 65 Grom that's going to crush it at Loretta's. You know what I mean? So like if, just seeing that, and I have to imagine that that's just gonna spark so much interest and passion and fervor for a little girl to say, you know what, I can do it too, and I'm gonna take it farther. Yeah.
It's man, who do you think is gonna be faster, Maeve or Millie?
That's gonna be tough. It's if we can. The biggest hurdle is Mary and Allie and allowing her.
Yeah. Well, or me. I'm a helicopter dad too.
Yeah. So it really depends, because even JJ's been like, oh, Dave, I cannot wait to get that little girl to train with and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, dude, the second she's ready, Auntie JJ's taking her to like a training facility, And Mary was like, within reason, because dirt bikes are dangerous. And I'm like, oh, here we go. Never mind. We're just gonna play.
Yeah, that's gonna be me. I'm gonna have a governor on Millie's bike.
Yeah,
and just if she starts looking like she's going a little too fast, I'm just gonna hit the button and slow her down.
And here we go. We're leaving. Come on, pack it up. We're going home.
I just have a radar gun. If she goes over 20 miles an hour, we'll yank her off the track and we can go home.
Radar gun. Oh, that's too good. That's so funny. But yeah, I mean, think about all the people that Millie and Maeve will have around them that we never had. We didn't have a amazing training infrastructure to be able to lean on. We didn't have, an Uncle AJ who's professional Supercross racer, or Cade, or all these other pro racers that we have around us all the time, or all these great female racers that she can look up to, you know, in the history books, and just all of that exposure and opportunity for resources, man. Like the amount of
Yeah.
parts and bikes that we were able to, thankfully, you know, very blessed to be able to get them for whatever we need. Dude, we grew up, we're lucky our 85s ran. Like we weren't rich. Like our dads were blue collar dudes. They were busting their butt.
Just
Like
showing up in the
just
conversion
showing up
vans.
in the vans that were lucky the vans got there. Let's be
Yeah. Oh,
honest. Let's
real
be
lucky. Are you
honest.
kidding me?
Yeah, a couple
Yeah.
times, dude, we had to pour some, you know, two-stroke premix in the gas tank just to, you know, clean it out a little bit. So like think about all that stuff, man. It's like they're gonna have
Yeah, with
so much more.
no guidance, no direction, nothing. Like my
Nothing.
dad, some of the things he had me do, it was amazing that he even had the wherewithal to know to do it, right? Like sending me
Mm,
to the flat track schools and all of these Tony D and all Gary Bailey and all the schools that would come to town. My dad was
mm,
really on it and knew like, okay, there's some value with this. And there were certain things he did along the way
yeah.
that were really important. But otherwise, he didn't know.
Yeah.
He was just throwing darts at the wall, basically.
See what works. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy.
So, well, anyhow, podcast questions. If you want to send in a podcast question, get inside of the Moto Academy app because holy cow, it's popping off more than it even was a week ago in last episode that you heard us talking about it.
100%. Yep.
It's nuts in there. More subscribers each week now. We're breaking records when we go on and do live streams. We have more people in the live streams than we've ever had.
Mhm.
Come join the family. It's amazing. All ages, all skill level of riders, all different trajectories and goals, but a lot of people thinking kind of in the same way. And that is just trying to elevate and get a little bit better and better on the bike and off the bike.
Yep.
And I think that's what's amazing about the app is it's a holistic way to learn because a lot of what we talk about in the app is mindset, and you change the way that you think and your life will begin to change. And if you want to improve on the dirt bike, you start working on your mind first, which is the root of most of the problems or all of the problems. And it took a little while to catch on because at the beginning, the app was very strictly dirt bike training, right? And 100% of people that went in there were focused on learning how to get better on a dirt bike, and that was it. But the more entrenched I got in the community and just posting more and getting to know everybody, I couldn't help but to just speak more openly, I guess, about where my head was at and the path and journey I was on and the learning. And at first, it's not that it wasn't well received, but I think it wasn't clicking with a lot of people in the app, right? It wasn't like resonating all that much. And it felt like at times at the very beginning that I was kind of talking to a wall a little bit. Maybe it was resonating with a couple of quiet few, where now it feels like it's a whole community that are all very much on the same page.
Yeah.
Which is
definitely
very,
agree.
very, very cool. And yeah, so anyhow, get in the app. You can ask these questions to be answered in the podcast once you're in there, among many other things. Question from Midlife Crisis. He said, I'm 6'3". Same, man. Yeah, it sucks being that's all. Yeah. And I've only ever ran stock bars. I feel like when I'm standing, I have to hunch or bend down, affecting my body position. How can you find a good bar / bend without just having to buy a bunch to try? Well, easy answer here. Midlife Crisis, shout out, by the way. Moto Academy and Phoenix Handlebar have a custom bend. It's amazing inside of the app. You guys have access to it, and I think only the people inside of the app have access to it.
Yep.
You get a custom bar pad with it. Is it sold separately? I have no idea. Maybe, but you can only get that in the link in the app. It's a perfect. Well, Dave, you tried them. It's a perfect straight sweep. I would describe it as a straight sweep. I don't know if that's accurate. For me, I'm 5'11". It's perfect for me to feel upright, squared up, elbows up. It has the room for the controls. They were designed specifically so you could get your controls crazy far in. I always tell people my ball of my lever is just about dead even with my grip donut. So think about that setup. Think about how far in those levers go. And these bars allow that. A lot of stock bars don't. Midlife Crisis, I know for a fact that you ride a brand new Honda 250, which the bars feel very much like they're in your lap. So get these bars and you'll love them. Dave, can
I
I get
think
a quick
so.
review on him? What were your thoughts? You like him on the Cowie?
So I
Were you
like him on
on the Cowie, right?
the Cowie. I'm not sure how much longer I'll be in the Cowie, but for the foreseeable future, for right now, be on that for a while. I like the bars. I think with Phoenix, they walk the line of compliance or flex very, very well, where you want a bar that's not just super rigid, because then you start feeling the vibration in your hands, and what we talked about with our eyes kind of, getting all buzzy. You'll feel that, and in your hands, and you'll feel it through your arms, and it'll drive you crazy. So you want some flex and compliance, and Phoenix does a really good job of finding where that line is, where you don't feel like you're riding on, spaghetti strings, but you're also not having this super rigid straight drag bar Harley setup. So I love that it had some of that flex in there. Um, the fit and finish look really good. I'm big on visual cues, and
Yeah,
that
yeah.
Phoenix logo with like it's also black, so when the sun hits it, like the logo shines a little bit brighter than the bar does. That's super cool. And again, having that room to move my levers to where I like them, to have the option of going so far or so far out. I absolutely love that. And the best part about Phoenix Handlebar, hands down, has got to be the fact that Jason knows so much about bars and what people like. And you can ask the guy directly. I was questioning,
Mm.
like, dude, I like this kind of handlebar setup. Jason, what do I do? Boop. Called him, dude answered. We're going back and forth through DMs and stuff. I mean, the fact that you have Jason at your disposal, you can't call Renthal, you can't call Pro Taper. I don't know who you're gonna call for ODI or Mika
Yeah, it's
Metals,
like me
you
with
know?
Moto Academy, where he's
Yeah,
so accessible
he
and he's
really
so
is,
knowledgeable.
and
Yeah,
he
yeah,
he he is the best part about Phoenix Handlebars, where you can literally just talk to the guy, and he knows immediately just based off a few questions that he asks you, and even the questions he asks you really lets you know, like, wow, this guy actually, number one, cares, and he also knows his stuff. So that is probably my favorite part about Phoenix, is Jason himself. But I loved them. I thought they were great. They look cool. They perform really well, and I think just like everyone else who tries them, like they're sold. They're great.
yeah. And I'm obsessed with the bar pad, Moto Academy bar pad design on there.
Mm,
There's a few cool people on socials that are running it,
yeah.
and on like the Ethan Owen or Eaton Owen. I don't know if it's
Mhm.
missing an H or if that's how you say it. Who knows? Do you follow him on Instagram at all? He posts a bunch of like kind of
I
comedy,
think
funny
so.
videos.
Yeah, yeah.
He's got some really good content. He's very smart.
Mhm.
He knows how to make some content pop off
Yeah.
without a doubt. But he has the bar pad on a YZ450 and it looks sick. The white bar pad on a 450 looks so good. And it looks really
Mhm.
good on the Honda as well.
It
I feel like it's
does.
like our signature thing is that white bar pad.
Yeah.
Do
Yep.
any bikes come? No, all bikes usually black bar pad is pretty much what you see, right?
Or red or green, depending. Honda, Cowie.
Okay.
I think Yami's is black. I don't think yours is blue. Yeah, we should probably know bikes
But no
better,
white.
huh? No. Yeah, no white. Crazy.
Yeah. The
Not in my America.
the but good question, midlife crisis. We got you taken care of. Second question from Mind Moto couldn't be any different than the first question. Mind Moto says, if you had to choose between knowing the absolute truth about the universe or experiencing a life of pure happiness without ever knowing the truth, which would you pick and why?
Mm.
Do you have an answer for that?
Off the top of my head, I'm probably gonna go with happiness without knowing the answers, man. I want to be here, want to serve the Lord, want to do good things, good deeds, have fun. I don't need to know that, because then you start learning the secrets of the universe, dude, and you're like, uh, it's probably crazy, and I can't fathom. I
It's
gotta I
probably
gotta
crazy.
I gotta pay my mortgage, dude. I'm tired. I got lots of stuff going on already, dude. I want to be happy. I want to keep doing good things, Jesus willing, and that's it, man. Yeah, you keep the answers. I don't gotta know all of
That's
that.
hilarious. Well, that's funny you say that because for me, I'm going to say the exact opposite, probably,
Mm,
in that like all of my everything I'm on the path towards right now is I am searching in that direction. So
mhm,
I'm studying religions and consciousness, and I mean consciousness is really where I've sort of ended up at right now.
mhm,
It seems like that's basically the root of everything is consciousness. But um, what I will say is that the happiness is a weird word, but I would say I am more content
mm,
now than I've ever been by a long shot. And I think that that has come as a byproduct of learning and knowing more about the world and the universe.
interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just feel a little, I just feel more connected. Where
It's
before I just felt like a victim, honestly. I felt like a lot of things were happening to me
yeah,
and like a lot of why me going on.
yeah.
And now I just feel really connected.
It's funny you mentioned that because I listen to sermons as I'm driving to the track sometimes in between Haley Williams and Paramore and Megan Trainor. And there's been so many times lately, and I meant to text Jamie about this where like I'll be listening to like some sermons and stuff, and it's like super cool and exciting and stuff like that. And it almost mirrors a lot of the stuff that we talk about. And I'm like, man, like this is cool. I bet AJ would love to hear a lot of like the sermons, and he doesn't even realize that like is AJ like a secret Christian dude and he doesn't even know it yet? Like, what do we have to do to push dude over into, which is cool. And again, I don't ever push religion on people. People, if you think that's too conservative or that's too liberal, put me in whatever camp you want. I don't care. I feel like I'm too liberal for the conservatives, too conservative for the liberals, whatever. Everybody, like, make anybody happy. But I feel like you say a lot of things to like that I like that mirror that. And it's like, huh, dude, I bet you if I sent AJ a few scriptures, dude, we can get this guy baptized like this time next week. And you know,
No, I would say I'm about as
it's
close as
interesting.
it gets at this point.
Yeah, it's interesting, dude. Honestly, I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah, because it's
yeah,
all
you're right there.
when you start digging. Yeah, when you start digging, it it all kind of points the same direction, right? And you can listen to a guy like Jordan Peterson, right, that can talk about it on and explain it on all of the levels.
Yeah.
But Jordan Peterson is very much a Christian that believe that God exists.
Hmm.
So, um, so I mean, so didn't Albert Einstein? I'm pretty sure. So doesn't pretty much every single high level person, Neville Goddard, all of these people that I'm reading, every single one of them without fail believes in God. So now, I think that the reason I was turned off by it so much in my early years is because I think that most everybody, anybody that would ever kind of bring that information to me or where I would hear it or
Mm.
hear about it was all from people that didn't they weren't really awake or enlightened or anywhere even close
Mm.
to it, right?
Yeah.
So they
Yep.
didn't they're talking about something that they don't
They don't live.
embody or
Yeah.
understand.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I agree with you 100%. Like in the past, like and or not they didn't even really explain it well. They're just like, this is what you do because, and it's like,
Mm.
well,
It's like a bunch of rules that they try and follow but don't
yeah,
fully.
but
Yeah,
but
so I
don't
was
fully
very turned
follow or
off by the
don't,
concept of that. Yeah.
which is super common, especially for people our age, and younger. Like it's hard to apply this thing that you don't understand to your life when you realize, like, oh, this is what it is. Oh, dude, this is a lifesaver, literally. Like this is incredible. All of these great lessons and all these great values you can take from this and implement into your life makes your existence so much easier and better and makes the people's lives around you better. All this cool stuff. So yeah, it's tough though, because a lot of our early exposure is just a lot of people who aren't really fully living it or can't even really explain how to fully live it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
And a lot of what I'm trying to do now with my learning is know and learn more about myself. I think that's
Hmm.
what everybody should focus on. It's like
Yeah.
focus on you, know thyself. Learn about yourself and it will begin to solve all of your other problems. It will make you a better person.
Yeah.
Um, but in doing that, I'm trying to learn kind of as many different versions of the same thing, I guess, so that I can
Mhm.
better explain and help others. Because you never know what's going to resonate with somebody else. For
Mhm.
me, it was starting with reading Think and Grow Rich, then ending up digging into a very deep path of now reading books on consciousness, right?
Mhm.
So and through that journey, I've read a whole bunch of different things, whether it be Buddhist or Christian, um, and kind of all of it.
Mm.
But you want to learn as much as you can because you don't know how what's gonna resonate with somebody. You could say
Yeah.
something just the right way, and all of a sudden it clicks. Can you hear me
Mm.
now? Because you're not on my headphones.
Yeah. I can still
Okay,
hear you.
let me turn you down so I don't get in trouble. We got we like 5 quick questions left. Do you have
Yeah.
time?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want to
For
try to
sure.
keep this to under an hour and 30 just for
Yeah.
sending footage through sake.
I'm ready.
Okay, question from Mike and Andrew. He says, podcast question, maybe. Uh-oh. I understand that I should be downshifting before braking. Recently, due to gaining some speed in different riding areas, I have been downshifting while on the rear brake. It's not that I forgot to downshift, maybe just guessed the gearing wrong and I'll click down one while still on the brakes. Is this a bad habit to avoid? Should I keep developing the skill and allow the progress to come naturally? Bike is a YZ250FX, so it does have plenty of engine brake. Interesting, Dave. So what he's basically saying is that, is it bad to brake and downshift simultaneously? Would you have an answer for that off the top of your head?
My my gut would say like that isn't an issue. The only time I think it might become an issue is if you're kind of splitting your focus between braking and downshifting, and you're kind of relinquishing just a little bit of that foot control, you know, like that bracing of yourself where you've got the heels out, turned out a little, or heels up, turned out a little bit, and you're kind of like doing this and this at the same time, might be a little on the lot to process, but it's something that I've done before. You know, you're coming to a straightaway, you're braking, and then you just click, and then into your corner. So I wouldn't say it's that glaring of an issue. I'd say if you can do one before the other, cool. But to me, I don't think this sounds like it's a big deal. What
I'm
would you
trying to,
say?
as you're talking, I'm trying to think if I've ever done them both really at the same time, because I want to say no. And the reason I would say no is because if you think about when you're braking, you want to keep your knees as tight as you can on top of the foot pegs and be sinking
Yes.
down into position, essentially.
Mhm.
And your goal is to, as you're braking aggressively, not to shift and slide forward,
Mhm.
which is enough to do when just one foot is starting to slide forward a little bit for that rear brake. It's hard enough to
Yeah.
keep that right knee tight to the shroud. But now if you're talking braking, so you're on the rear brake and also
Mhm.
sliding your downshifter foot
Yep.
forward,
Yep.
are you holding on with your legs at all at that point, or are both knees going to slowly start to slide forward with it? That would
And
be my
that's
assumption.
what I was talking about. Yeah. So
Especially, that seems like if anybody were doing it, that would be a really high level complex thing to do. So
mhm.
for Mike and Andrew, great question, by the way. And I would say avoid doing that,
Mhm.
because I don't see any outcome other than you sliding forward with the
Mhm.
lower body when you're doing that. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah.
A great question, because it's not often I get I don't think I've ever been asked that question, believe it or not. Cameron Bradshaw, podcast questions. What is the difference between A-kit suspension and factory teams suspension? Another great question. Dave, what
Yeah.
would you say to that?
I'd say it's the makeup and components on the inside of the suspension. So like A kit, a lot of people, if you're ever lucky enough to get A kit, because it's pretty pricey, it's really good. AJ can attest to this. The amount of like customization that you have for the individual rider, the bike, the discipline you're doing, it's phenomenal. They're using very good setup of shim stacks. They're using the best oils that don't break down or degrade as quickly. The orifices inside of a lot of those chambers, they're machined. They're sometimes bigger to flow more depending on the discipline. Oftentimes, usually, you're going to see them a little bit smaller so that they can hold up for a lot of bottoming resistance for these faster guys. So there's a lot of good stuff. Now, factory suspension, it's that on steroids. They are looking at exotic metals that have different flex capabilities to allow the fluid that is a special fluid to flow differently based on position of stroke and all this other stuff. So it's almost like, yeah, I've got this really cool Porsche that I get a chance to drive versus, oh, I got this really cool Porsche that I get to drive, but now this Le Mans team is going to take it and make it this incredible fire breathing dragon. That's essentially what it is. So you might see what do you pay for a kit suspension, AJ? It's 15, 20?
Oh, I don't know. I've
Yeah.
thankfully never paid in full for A-kit suspension. I don't know when, honestly. I've probably ridden with it on my bikes before, and I don't know
Yeah.
which ones did or did not have it.
Yeah.
I would guess 10 to 20,
Yeah, that's kind of
right?
like what I'm thinking.
For
Whereas
front and rear,
yeah,
10 to 20.
factory, If you add in all the R&D hours and all of the labor, you're looking in that's six figures when it comes
Yeah.
down to it. When you're adding in all of that extra research and development for that specific rider, guarantee you, right now, Tomac suspension easily six figures and all of the development time they have into that thing. So that is the difference is the amount of scrutiny and time and exotic trickery that they have on the inside. I mean, some of the guys that really build this stuff, they look at the friction that's caused from the fork seals and they can feel they can justify the difference in their data. So that's one thing that and I tested with Showa for a number of years designing suspension, and they were like, yeah, in order for us to be able to do this stuff for you guys and provide this service, we have to be able to hop on the bike and feel the difference in fork seals, which I don't know how you even begin to train your butt to feel differences in fork seals and how like the friction coefficient is different. But that's the level of scrutiny they put behind the suspension. So it's again, I that Porsche analogy is probably the best that I can equate that to is they've got so much focus on that.
I wish that the day I rode Jet and Hunter's bike that we were allowed to film it, because that would have been a great video, hopping off of my practice Honda 250 and hopping onto
Mm,
their practice bikes without their
mhm.
full setup.
Yeah.
My suspension, I wouldn't consider it wasn't bad, you know, for the
Mm,
normal person, it was probably pretty darn good. And
yeah.
then hopping onto to the to the Lawrence's bike, insane.
Yeah.
Insane. I mean, in
Yep.
one lap, I was telling this story just recently. The very first lap that I hopped on the bike, I'm pretty sure I was faster than I was on my bike. And I was just like doing
Mm.
a sight lap. And it was the traction I would get and the whoops and how much holdup it had, but yet how much traction it had at the same
Yeah.
time. And it didn't feel stiff, even though it was
Mm.
um, like nothing I've ever felt. I
That's
mean,
incredible.
like nothing I've ever felt. It honestly is a little annoying.
This isn't fair. I want that stuff. You know what's funny? My bike broke one day. This is back when we were racing NEMA still, and my first year in big bikes, or sorry, my first year in four strokes, and I was just getting my butt kicked like left and right. I was super tiny, believe it or not, on this like 250F, and it just was not working. Ended up crashing, pipe got bent, and I borrowed my buddy's bike, who he had a full PC sweep. He had PC suspension, PC linkage, PC motor. Um, and I rode that in like an LCQ or something. Oh, dude, I was flying. I was like, wait, is this how dirt bikes are supposed to feel? Like and that wasn't even like a kit that wasn't even like nowhere near factory level. Just some PC trickery and like having them do the suspension. And man, this is a feeling. So there are levels to this. I guarantee for people out there that are just riding their bike
Yeah.
as they got it from the showroom, if you send your suspension out to get the very basic setup that is right for you, you would not believe how much more confident and how much more fun and how much more intuitive your riding becomes. It really is a night and day difference.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. So we have a couple more questions. These ones are from IG stories. So shout out
Ooh.
Instagram. Ralph. Ralph out here with a question. What's better, knee pads or knee braces? Dave Driggs, what do you
Ooh.
rock?
So, up until recently, at your constant badgering, I tried some of the, I guess, hybrid softer knee pads. And I've been in braces for years. I had the Asterix knee braces for years. And then a couple of years ago, switched to the bigger EVS Pro Axis. Knee braces are great. I love them. They serve a great purpose. However, switching to the softer knee pads, I don't know if I want to go back. I've had them on for the last maybe 3 4 weeks. Absolutely love them. Not only do I still get the protection and the guarding against like rashing up the inside of my thighs and feeling the bike really abruptly for like whoops and hard hits and stuff that I'm shielded from all that. But I also feel like I have enough rigidity in the knee to where if I do end up going down or getting bars banging into the knee or something, I'm protected there also, and I have freedom of movement of my legs. Like I can get into the position I need to. Whereas the braces, I feel like kind of held me in one standard position. I got big legs already, so throw the braces on top of there, and I feel like I'm just like cemented in one position. So I love the fact that I still get a chance to feel the bike, have freedom of movement, but also not have to sacrifice the protection that I really need. Now, you can make the argument, well, you don't have as much like torsion resistance, you don't have as much hyperextension or flexion resistance there. And it's like, yeah, you do. You're probably not lying, but the fact that I'm able to get myself in the correct position kind of lessens my chances of that happening anyway. You know what I mean? So it's kind of I'd say if you're able to try both, try both. But where I'm landing is I like the knee pads that I have.
Yeah, if you haven't tried pads, it will level your riding experience up a 100 times. I am so bummed that I raced for 13 years with big bulky braces.
Mhm.
And it wasn't until I went to Travis Pastrana's house, and Travis is like, first of all, he made fun of me that I was wearing full gear on a KLX 110 race, but he goes, at the very least, put on these knee pads.
What a nerd who goes full gear to flip into Pastrana's foam pit. What
Well,
a
dude, the guy in
loser.
full gear qualified first, just made him look silly out there on the course. Perfect technique standing up. In fact, the EVS guy, I go, how am I looking? Like, am I looking all right? And he goes, yeah, you look good. Like, your style looks good, but he's like, you're not getting enough speed here, and you got to hit this line here. And I'm like, okay. And we ended up doing, it was like super pole for
Mhm.
time qualifying. You won a bunch of money if you won it, and then it was your gate pick for the main event.
Mhm.
And the camera was on you, drones flying, everybody watching. You just got one lap, one attempt, and I greased it. And I was like, I want to say I was like a second faster than everybody else,
Mm.
um, because I was just riding with perfect. Not only was I in just full gear head to toe, but it must have been so annoying because just full gear and completely perfect technique on a 110, which was so much effort, by the way.
So stupid.
But that was the first
The
day that I
course
wore
was
knee
sick.
pads.
Yeah.
Yeah, Travis and everybody were, I'm sure, just rolling their eyes like, what is going on here? And even we got, after the day was over, we went into the pit of death or whatever they called it, where it was a
Mm.
cement. They had this cement thing poured that was a
Figure
figure
eight,
eight. Like,
basically. Yeah.
basically you could go upside down and railing this figure eight. And I had to like teach everybody how to ride that, essentially, because they were trying to do it with their foot out, which wasn't working. So I was like, no, you just leave your feet on the pegs here and you can do it much better. In fact, if you just stand the whole time, you can do it even that much better.
Mm.
And I think, again, it was like, okay, really, dude, you're in full gear talking about keeping your feet on. Like, we're just trying to have fun over here.
Then where do I put my Coors Light if I gotta stand up?
All right, AJ,
So
here,
that's
hold
so
my beer.
funny. It's somebody asked me about that this weekend at the track. They're like, "Hey, I saw that you guys were at the Pastrana deal. Like, what was that like?" And trying to put it into words was so difficult. We should probably talk about that eventually on one of these things, the full backstory. But trying to put that whole experience into words, like what that was like the first day we all got a chance to all flip and try the foam pit and the bikes and stuff. It's pretty ridiculous. I feel like none of us, like, we're freestyle fans, but none of us were like, yeah, I can't wait to flip and I can't wait to do this ramp and all this craziness. Like, somehow we got talked into it where I was fully against flipping. I'm like, I'm here for content and to, show up, and we're, uh, pretty much like we had a game plan. We have content we have to get, right? And before I know it, I'm at the top of the hill in gear, and I'm like, how did I get here? And I feel like that was all of our reaction, except for Luke and Bryce. They loved it. But I feel like everybody's reaction was putting that into words, how Pastrana gets you to do things and is so encouraging and like excited about it for you. Like, it's really hard to explain that.
Yeah, it's wild because you would always hear about, you if you go there, you're gonna flip into the foam pit type of thing, and that is
Yeah.
exactly what happened. I mean, everybody in our group did it, which was wild. I saw I think the clip of me at Straight Rhythm doing the Travis tribute
Oh, yeah.
kind of made its rounds again, going viral, which
Mhm.
seems to happen once a year, which is wild. Yeah, just I'm grateful that the pit bike thing was so much fun, and that was its own thing. Going there to
Mhm.
be able to shoot, and essentially, like, Travis directed the video shoot that day, which was crazy cool because I had
Yeah.
a vision of what it was going to look like going into it, and Travis I would love to do more stuff like that with Travis because he was very, very creative, knew exactly. I mean, he's got way more experience than me even doing it, and I'm pretty good at it. Just putting together a visual and shooting a video, a
Yeah.
storyline, the talking points, and doing the acting involved that was in it.
Mhm.
Surreal, obviously. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was surreal.
Yeah. If you would have told 12-year-old Dave and 11-year-old AJ, like, hey, guess what? In a couple of years, you guys are going to be flipping with Pastrana, I'd be like, this guy's clearly out to lunch. And why is he talking to two little kids? But it was crazy.
Yeah. Another question from Devin Wright. Rate your self-discipline 1 to 10 and rate your organization skills 1 to 10. Good question. Self-discipline 1 to 10. What would you say?
It could, I've got opportunity. I'd probably say 7.5 out of 10 is where I'd probably land. I feel like I've got, if my motivation is not properly lined out and I don't really feel that spark to do it, it's tough for me to put 100% into it. But there are occasions where if I'm if I love it, you will see Dave be 100. This is all he thinks about. One track mind, right? So that's, I'd say that for myself. Where'd you rank yourself for discipline?
Yeah, I guess probably about the same. And it's tough where I lack self-discipline, I guess, is that I am so singularly focused that if something else is on my periphery, I either won't do it or I certainly won't put much effort into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I guess a good example of that would be, and a good example, I guess, of proving me wrong would be that working out. I worked out today, matter of fact, for the first time in a long time. And it's like,
What
that's probably a lack of self-discipline, right?
would you
My
do?
conscious argument would be I don't have time because I'm busy doing X, Y, and Z with the daughter and building the business. And I don't want to
Oh,
sacrifice my sleep and wake up
yeah.
early because that's the only time I have.
Yep.
But that's probably an excuse.
Mm.
I don't know. So that's lack of self-discipline, I would say.
What'd you do for a workout?
A Zwift ride. I did 12.8 miles on the
Mm.
old road bike on the Zwift setup. AJ Whitrock actually last week texted me and he said, "Hey, you want to start Zwifting together?" I'm like, you know what? That's actually what I need is I need a little push here. I need some motivation. So him and I are going to start doing it together. I did it solo today
Uh-huh.
because I want to get a little head start on him.
Uh-huh.
But my legs felt like they were 500 pounds trying to pedal that bicycle.
Could I Oh, could I throw my downhill bike on the trainer? Would I be giving up too much not having a roadie?
Well, you you might have to use no you could probably do that. You either might need a different tire to make sure you're getting the best traction on the trainer, but maybe not
Yeah.
even. Um, or if you have a direct ride trainer, then it will pop right on there. You'll
Mhm.
lose a little bit if it's not a hardtail and you have some rear suspension, but you could probably do you
Yeah.
have a lockout in the suspension or something?
I've got a locket, but I also have a hardtail. But I had nobody that rode road bikes with me where I lived previously. So I was like, man, I've got this beautiful Trek just sitting here collecting dust, and I was riding cross country more. So I went ahead and sold it because remember, like, that's Tony's bread and butter, dude, is road
Hmm.
cycling. But once I moved away from all you guys, nobody wanted to ever. I was riding by myself through a city, getting laughed at for wearing spandex, dude. I was like, wow, this is where we're at. Like, no one's ever seen a road cyclist before. Okay, I guess I'm gonna have to, put some clothes on and, and start going downhill. So yeah, it was.
Set up Zwift. It would be a blast if you could hop on with AJ Whitrock and myself. I've been posting.
Okay,
I posted it today in the app, so I'm sure there's gonna be people in Moto Academy getting set up. We'll probably be having our own Moto Academy Zwift rides,
okay,
which will
yeah, I'm
be
down.
a blast. But today, yeah, 12.8 miles took me 40 minutes. I think I averaged like 160 watts, which maybe not even. It was probably less than that, and
But not
it felt
terrible.
impossible.
It's not terrible.
It's pretty. I mean, my FTP when I used to ride Zwift was 324 watts, meaning I could hold 324 watts for an hour straight. And this was 40 minutes, and I could only do 160, so
Mm,
almost half. Um, my legs felt super heavy. My heart rate was pretty high. I think my average heart rate was like 150, max was 165. So heart rate jumped up pretty quick.
What is that? Is that zone 4 for you?
Yeah, I have a low max heart rate. So that's definitely probably into zone 4 for me. For some people, like 150, 160 isn't that high. But for me, typically, if I'm on a road bike being conversational and like feeling good, like I could be pushing pretty hard, but still be conversational. That's usually taking place in the 140s, maybe low 150s. So pretty low. If I'm at 170, if I'm above 165 off of the dirt bike, I feel like I'm about to have a heart attack.
Yeah,
and that's pretty low. Some people can get to 200 off of the dirt bike.
That's not me. I wonder what Bryce's figures are at. I feel like he can turn some pedals nice, man, and still be like really
He
chill.
just sent me a screenshot. He just hit his FTP like personal best. I want to say he was right at like 310 to 320 range. So, or 305, above 3, which anything above 3, I want to say mine was, based on my weight at the time, I was 4.7 watts per kilogram. If anybody's cycles listening to this, you're welcome. But other than that, sorry. 4.7 is pretty high, I think. Yeah, I was big into it at one point. I would ride every single day, no exception, no matter what. I was doing like 200 miles a week. And most of that was just on Zwift. But then I just kind of burnt myself out.
Yeah.
But getting back into it. Speaking of self-discipline, getting back into it. Okay, we're going to do one more question because I've got to go to bed. 2 more, actually, and because these are on one screenshot. This is from Carson. He said, what do you think I should focus on while practicing my gate drops? Well, I don't know specifically what he means when asking that, but Dave, when a gate is dropping in a race, what do you look at? Anything particular?
So I know a lot of guys look at the pin. I look at the gate in front of me. I don't have time. There's too many things. If I turn my head a little bit or my eyes to look at the pin, I'm seeing the other rider next to me, and that's just going to make me spin out. So I look at the gate directly in front of me, and my focus is not on, okay, Dave, you got to go out there and like launch really fast. My whole focus is making sure that I execute me correctly. It's like, all right, don't overthink. Stop thinking, relax. You know how to ride. Get locked into the position that you know is the 1, 2, 3s, clutch, gas, front brake. Make sure you know exactly where you're modulating, where you've got control, and then when the gate drops, you go. It's more focused on calming myself and making myself not think outside of my immediate task. You know what I mean? Whereas some guys, they're like, okay, I get over the gate and I'm this and that and that. I'm like, nope, I'm focusing on David knows what to do. It's just making sure that David does not overthink and focus on other people or too far in the future apart from this, this immediate moment. So that's my biggest thing.
And the advice that I would give people is that with starts, stop worrying about the reaction time and trying to launch out of that gate so fast, because especially if you're talking at the local level, you could be sleeping on the gate. And if you just execute your launch correctly, you're still going to get the whole shot.
Yeah.
So, and usually I think that that's where people go wrong, is they're so anxious, so ready to go. And just like when that gate drops, it's just like, yeah, they just explode. Limbs go flying, clutch gets dropped too quickly, throttle either goes wide open or rolls off completely. Like, focus on the routine and stop worrying about trying to time the gate correctly. It's like, don't worry about looking at the freaking pin if you don't know how to have good technique and good smooth clutch control coming out of the gate. I don't look at the gate. I look just in front of it. And that's because there was like, my mental cue is I look just in front of it. And as soon as the gate drops, part of my process is my eyes and head look up a little bit to the end of the rut coming out of the gate.
So it's a quicker or less eye movement for you at that point.
Yeah, it feels like less that my eyes have to travel up, I guess.
Yeah,
so yeah, in front of gate, and I guess there's, maybe, who knows, maybe the peripheral vision of the gate dropping is quicker for my reflexes than me staring at it. I don't know if that's true, but it just seems like my eyes have to travel less to get up to the end of the rut. So that's what I do. Last question from Patrick. Will you come to the Vegas Park in Aquileia, Italy for a tour? Yes. Matter of fact, our coach, Alessandro, that we are in the process of hiring, we're onboarding him as we speak, lives in Italy. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to tour. We're going to hit as many spots in Italy as humanly possible. That's basically where we're going to start. So shout out, Patrick. I'll see you wherever you just said, Vegas Park. Hopefully we'll be there. Hopefully we'll be there.
Trip. That'd be sick.
Dave Drake's long freaking episode. Let's hope this sends. Let's hope my card is still rolling. My camera's still rolling. Is your stuff still working?
My stuff's still rolling. It's going to take me 20 minutes to upload. God bless fiber.
Shout out.
Stoked, dude. It's going to be good.
Cool. Hey, downloads are still just ripping and roaring.
Love it.
So thank you guys for listening. More viewers now, or more listeners now than ever before, which is very good. I've been grateful that we've been able to stay consistent with these things. It's not as easy as you would imagine to coordinate 2 people in Texas and Connecticut to get on this, to talk, to edit it in time. All of the things that it takes to put out a consistent once a week podcast is actually quite difficult among the other things that we're trying to do. But thank you guys for listening. Dave, thanks for staying up late with me. Moto Academy podcast. We did it. Another one. Toodles. Toodles.